names, including the views of contemporary philosophers like Frege, Russell, and Kripke. And we have given arguments of Frege for having sense and 4 arguments for having sense. So you can look up those topics also. And there are 6 senses of sense in Frege. And Frege has used the proper names to refer to ordinary proper names, definite descriptions, indexicals, as well as sentences. All of them are proper names. And 6 senses of sense, the word sense. And then we have introduced Russell's conception of proper names. And there are 6 senses of proper names in Russell. 6 items. Then we introduced Kripke, and Kripke's 6 sentences we have explained. He thinks that all these scholars before him have equated proper names with a cluster theory of definite descriptions. And Kripke has introduced a new term. That term is rigid designator. So he has classified proper names as rigid designators. All proper names are rigid designators. And definite descriptions like Aristotle was the teacher of Alexander the Great. The teacher of Alexander the Great as referential definite description. And there are rigid definite descriptions such as gold is the metal having atomic number 79. These are only definite descriptions which are rigid. So he has criticized Frege and all his predecessors. And I tried to retain Frege because we require sense for the discussion of Naiyāyika. All right. So now we are going to introduce the Naiyāyika. Now, everybody has joined. Madhumita Raichaudhuri has joined. Then Pravir has joined. What about Shubham, and Tirna and Niti? They are missing.
Niti and Tirna I have informed and invited separately. Shubham is in the group, so he should get the message. And I can WhatsApp him also now, if necessary.
So, Tirna and Shubham, Tirna and Niti, they cannot attend, is it?
Could be. We do not know, sir. I have messaged them separately, individually also. They know.
Okay. However, I am introducing the Naiyāyika view. In this section, I would like to discuss the Naiyāyika theories of proper names in the light of our above discussion so that we can compare the Naiyāyika theory with the views of some contemporary philosophers. I will try to introduce the Naiyāyika view in such a way that Naya view is compatible with Frege as well as compatible with Kripke. So we can reconcile the conflict between Kripke and those who are criticized by Kripke. So this is the aim. So Naya has admitted a conventional relation between an expression and what is referred to by that expression. Conventional relation. The relation is called vritti. Vritti is the relation between an expression and what is referred to by that expression. That is called vritti. There are two types of this relation depending on whether an expression refers to the primary referent or the secondary referent of it, Mukhartha and Gaunartha or Lokhartha. The usual referent or referents of an expression are primary referent. For example, all individual cows are the primary referents of the word cow. Similarly, the person John is the primary referent of the word John. In the context of metaphor, according to the Naya, an expression does not refer to its usual referent, but it does refer to something which is related to its primary referent. And this secondary referent is the intended object of the speaker or the writer. For example, in the sentence, the village is on the Ganges. The primary referent of the word Ganges is the river Ganges, but the secondary referent is the bank of the river Ganges. In this sentence, we should take the secondary referent of the word Ganges. So, Naya has introduced vritti, the relation, and primary referent as well as secondary referent of the words. All right, to everybody? The relation between an expression and its primary referent is called Sanketa. Sanketa is Sanskrit word. So, primary relation. And the relation between an expression and its secondary referent is called Lakshana. So, Sanketa and Lakshana. Again, Sanketa or primary relation is of two types, depending on whether the relation is set up by the will or the intention of a particular human being or by the will of God. I have interpreted will of God means we do not know its origin. Here, the will of God is postulated simply to explain the conventions whose origins are not known to us. But in both cases, the relation between an expression and its referent is due to the intention of the name giver. Hence, it is conventional. And these two types of convention are called Shakti, ancient convention I have translated as, and Paribhasha, the modern convention. The relation between an expression such as cow and its reference is called Shakti, because we do not know when the convention was set up, but the relation between a proper name and a technique or a technical term coined by a scientist or a grammarian and its referent is called Paribhasha. So I have given you a diagram also. And since Nyaya emphasizes the direction of the relation, so I have pointed out here the direction of the relation. Let such and such object be cognized by such and such expression. Then the relation is called Artha Visheshaka. The object or the referent is the first term of the relation, of the meaning relation, whose second term is the expression. But if the relation between an expression and its referent is set up by a convention, intention of the name giver of the form, let such and such expression generate the cognition of such and such object, then it is called Padavisheshaka. So an expression
স্যার এই জায়গাটা আরেকটু আরেকবার বলবেন?
Padavisheshaka or Artha Visheshaka. Artha Visheshaka, let such and such object be cognized by such and such expression. Or you can say, let such and such expression generate the cognition of such and such object. For example, the word cow. Let the expression cow refer to such and such object, particular cows. Let particular cows be referred to by the expression cow. So, converse of it. You start with
these two are the examples
object,
of direction. These two are example of
are examples of how to order the referent and the expression. Artha Visheshaka or Pada Visheshaka. You start with Pada, then Pada becomes the word or the expression becomes the Vishesha. The Nyaya classification of the relation between an expression and its referent may be represented by the following diagram. Here I have diagram where X stands for the expression and Y stands for the referent of X. So Vritti, that one is Vritti, okay? X or Y. Then it is divided into Sanketa and Lakshana. Then Sanketa is divided into Shakti and Paribhasha. And then ordering comes. Pada Visheshaka Shakti or Artha Visheshaka Shakti. Pada Visheshaka Paribhasha and or Artha Visheshaka Paribhasha. So here I have introduced these terms. Each of the terminal nodes can be classified further depending on the direction of the relation between an expression and its referent or reference. The terminal nodes. One is directed towards Sanketa, another towards Lakshana. So each of them can be two, Artha Visheshaka or Pada Visheshaka. Similarly, Shakti can be Artha Visheshaka and Pada Visheshaka. Paribhasha also Artha Visheshaka and Pada Visheshaka. Let the word John refer to John. The expression John referred, let the word John refer to John. That is Arthabisheshaka. And it is Padabisheshaka. And Arthabisheshaka will be, let John be referred to by the word John. All right, everybody? From the above discussion, it follows that the Nyaya emphasizes the conventional nature of the relation between an expression and its referent or referents, and the distinction between the two types of primary relation depending on whether the convention is ancient or modern. In the case of the word cow, we do not know the origin of the convention. Somebody must have said, let the word cow refer to this type of animals, or this type of animals are to be referred to by the word cow. But we do not know its origin. But in the case of proper names, we know the origin, paribhasha, or scientific terms.
But even in case of Shakti or the ancient convention, it is still a convention. I mean,
That's right.
mostly,
It is a convention.
and means human, it's a human creation. Is that implied?
That's right. It is made by human beings, but we do not know its origin. That is why we have, Prachin Nyaya has used the word God.
So in today's postmodernism and other debates also, we can intervene or contribute using these distinctions. Because relativism, the issue of relativism, that whether how can you fix a meaning, and where everything is relative, and therefore this distinction of
It depends on the intention of the speaker.
yes.
All these conventions are dependent on the intention of the speaker. So all of them are conventional. Either we know the convention or we do not know the origin of the convention. So now let us introduce the Nyaya discussion of the meaning of a common noun, such as the word cow. Now I am introducing the word cow. In this context, I would like to introduce the neutral word, meaning complex. Meaning complex, neutral. What is referred to by the word cow?
Sir,
That is meaning.
what do you
Meaning
mean by
complex.
the
Meaning complex stands for the referent of the word cow.
And what does the term neutral word means? Neutral word, you use the term
Neutral word is meaning complex. And meaning relation, which will relate an expression to meaning complex. Meaning complex I have introduced so that I can talk about whether there is one referent or more than one referent. According to the old Nyaya, the meaning complex includes the universal and the class character, jati, as well as akriti. So, according to old Nyaya, three things are involved in the meaning complex of the word cow. One is particular cows, another cowness, jati, another akriti of the cows. Okay? According to old Nyaya.
What is the
So,
akriti part, sir? Perception or perceptual structure?
three things are involved in the meaning complex of the word cow. One is particular cows. So the word cow refers to particular cows as well as the universal cowness as well as the akriti of the cows. So the meaning complex of the word cow includes particular cows or the cow individuals. I have used the word cow individuals, the class character, the cowness, and the configuration or akriti of particular cows. According to old Nyaya, it is one meaning relation which relates the word cow to the meaning complex which includes three types of entities. So relation is one, okay? But the referent of the word cow includes three things. Now the question is how the expression particular cows or cow individuals and configuration of particular cows are to be understood. By the word cow individuals, we should understand particular cows without their qualities and relations. This is a new point, not discussed explicitly in the literature. I am grateful to my Panditji, Pandit Vishwabandhu Tarkatitsa, with whom I have discussed most of the topics mentioned in the context of the Nyaya. So, for example, one cow is black, another cow is white, another cow is both black and white, another cow is gray. Now, by particular cows, we do not refer to their colors. By the word cow individuals, we should understand particular cows without their qualities and relations. If the cow, say A, is white and the cow, say B, is black, then the word cow individuals, by the word cow individuals, we should understand A and B without their colors. Okay? Similarly, without their qualities, other qualities.
This is the new point that you want to emphasize.
That's right. That's right. I want to emphasize.
It has some parallel with the number one, recognizing number one. I'm just mentioning, may not be that case. In the earlier discussion of number, that one and the rest. So this one
yes,
part.
yes, this and that.
Yes, this and that. This is number one. Picking this out.
Similarly, A and B are to be taken without their other properties except properties like being this or that individual. This and that individuals without their qualities. So by the word this, I refer to a particular cow, and that I refer to another particular cow. But I do not include their qualities in them.
So thisness, that exclusive emphasis on thisness, perhaps that this idanta bhav.
Thisness, thisness refers to some unique individual cows. All cows are unique, but always we do not know their uniqueness. If a cow is present to me, then you may detect its uniqueness. But,
So in case of
in terms,
sorry.
no, so by the word this, I am referring to a particular cow. And by the word that, I am referring to another particular cow.
Yes, so that particularity is the focus here.
Yes, particulars.
And just an example, an identical twin, a pair of identical twin. So apparently completely identical with each other in terms of jati and the qualities and properties. But even in such a case, even the differentiation is not perceptible easily.
That's
They
right.
are still unique.
That's right. Differences are being this, being that. Being this individual cow, being that individual cow. So their colors and properties are not included when I say particular cows. This is a new point. Even the class character is excluded from A and B. Class character is not included, being this particular cow, being that particular cow. The expression configuration or akriti of cow individuals refers to the parts of the cow individuals which are related in a particular manner in a particular cow. Let us consider the particular cows A and B. Akriti, what does it mean? I am explaining now Akriti. The cow A has parts such as tail, a head, 4 legs, and a body, which are related in a particular way. Similarly, cow B has the same type of parts which are related in the same way. Symbolically, the parts of A and B can be represented by the following way. R, A1, A2, A3, A4. If we have divide cows into 4 parts, then the relation between them will represent R by R. Another cow, 4 parts, then the relation between them is R. Okay? Where the subscripts represent the different parts of cow A and B.
So this R is same of the R shown in the previous diagram, that relationship between X and Y. And now it has...
Now I am pointing out Akriti, what does it mean by the word Akriti? It is a relational property, relation between the parts. Okay? Now, different cows are there. So, different relations are there between their parts. Now, by the word configuration of cow individuals, we should not mean the conjunction of 1 and 2, but the generic features of 1 and 2, which can be represented in the following way. Are, because cow individuals have different akritis, all of them have different akritis, but we generalize the akriti. We have to generalize the akriti. Are alpha, beta, gamma, delta, where alpha, beta, gamma, delta represent the types of parts of different cow individuals. That is a new point. The types of parts of different cow individuals. So you are generalizing from particular to general.
Like legs,
So
galloping, etc. in case of cow, but in terms of property
that's
is
right. The type of head, the type of leg, the type of body, all these types are to be generalized. So the relation between the types of parts of cow individuals, not the relation between a particular relation of a particular cow, but generic relations. So R refers to generic relations. R refers to the relation between generic parts of cow individuals. So first of all, you have to understand a particular cow and the relation between the parts. Then you have to generalize it. Is it clear to everybody? This is a new point, not mentioned, not discussed in
others should
detail.
ask question here. So
Yes, you can ask questions.
and but sir, so this is the step-by-step process, picking up the particular, then recognizing the parts of it, and then generalizing it. This process.
Generalizing it. That's right. This is what I did. First of all, particular cows, A, B. There are innumerable cows, okay? But I cannot include all the innumerable cows or their relations. So, by Akriti, we mean how the parts are related, of an object. Or in the case of cow, how the parts are related. How the parts are related in all the cows.
So a practical application would be defining a species. So we are not picking up lion by lion or cow by cow and then trying to generalize. But rather than generic properties, we need to define
generic properties.
Based on that,
generic leg of the cows, generic body of the cows, generic, all the parts of the cows. But the Nobunaya has raised several objections against this view, which includes configuration of particular within the meaning complex of an expression. Now, Nobunaya has raised several objections against this view. First of all, this view cannot give a similar account of the meaning meanings of expressions for qualities, actions, and other properties. Similarly, red color you cannot introduce in the meaning complex of the word red color. The word red refers to red colors and the universal redness. Akriti you cannot introduce in the case of qualities, guna, or properties.
So it's a meta level defect they are detecting.
That's right, that it cannot be generalized. In the case of cow, you have pointed out, but you cannot point out in the case of qualities, actions, and other properties. Let us consider the meaning of the word brown. The meaning complex of this expression includes only the particular brown colors and the universal brownness. Since a color does not have a configuration, akriti, the question whether it is a member of a meaning complex does not arise. So it fails in certain places, this discussion. Secondly, even in the case of substance referring expression, it is not necessary to include the configuration within the meaning complex of it. What we need in addition to the set of particular objects to which a word applies is a limiter, avachedaka, which will determine the reference uniquely. Now, there is no need to include, even in the case of cow, akriti. What we need? Avachedaka.
So it is
Avachedaka,
neither
yes,
necessary nor sufficient. Means
that's right.
yeah.
It is not applicable to many other properties, actions, and gunas, qualities. Secondly, it is not necessary even in the case of the cow. Okay, so first we pointed out where it is not applicable, and then where it is applicable, it is not necessary. So, hence, we do not need the configuration of particular cows. In addition to the universal cowness, to determine the reference of the word cow, what we need is avachedaka. Cowness is the avachedaka. Okay? Cowness we need so that we can determine the cows. So what we need? Referent of the word cow, particular cows, and their avachedaka, cowness. Moreover, according to Jagadisha, a Naiyāyika, the term akriti, configuration, mentioned in the Naiyāsutra should not be interpreted as the form or the configuration of an object. Now comes Naiyāyika Jagadisha. He claims the word, he is giving a new meaning to the word akriti. And what is that new meaning? The term akriti mentioned in the Naiyāsutra should not be interpreted as the form or configuration of an object. He claims that the word akriti taken in its etymological sense means that which determines the form of an object. That which determines the form of an object. Hence, it is to be taken as the relation between the class character and the individuals which are instances of the class character. I have given references. For further discussion, you can read the references. So, hence the meaning complex of the word cow is an ordered set of three elements. Ordered set of three elements. It can be expressed in the following way. The word cow means cow individuals, inherence relation, and cowness. So he has interpreted Akriti as a relation which determines the cow individuals. The Avachedaka which will determine the individuals. So it is the relation, he says, cowness is in particular cows by the relation of inherence. Samavaya Sambandha. All right, to everybody, this is the discussion of Naiyāyika such as Jagadisha. So, the meaning complex of the word cow includes particular cows as well as the Avachedaka cowness and the relation of cowness to cow individuals. Okay? When you point out the relation of cowness to particular cows. Cowness inheres in particular cows by the relation of inherence. All right, to everybody, this is the new interpretation of Jagadisha, Naiyāyika. The first member of this meaning complex is the Shakko. Now I am introducing some Sanskrit term. The first individual of the meaning complex is Shakko, the referent or the reference of an expression. The third member is the Shakkata Avachedaka, the limiter of the property of being the referent of an expression. That is the limiter, Avachedaka. In order to explain these terms, we should draw the distinction among the terms Shakko, which stands for the referent or the reference of an expression, Shakkota, which signifies the property of being the referent, which resides in a referent, Avachedaka, which means the limiter that determines a referent or a set of referents, and Avachedakata, which signifies the property of being the limiter, which resides in a limiter. Now, 4 words have been used. Shakko, Shakkata, Avachedaka, Avachedakta. Now, the word ta in Shakkota and Avachedakata, what does it mean? It means the role it plays in this context. This is new interpretation. the role it plays in this context. The property of being Shakko. That means in this context, it is playing the role of referent. And Kauness, which is Avachedaka, in this context, it is playing the role of Avachedaka by the word Avachedakata. This is a new interpretation. This is my interpretation and certified by my Panditji also. So, it will make sense to inquisitive readers or lecturers.
Yes,
So,
for beginners like me,
these terms do not refer to a specific quality, but the role it plays in that context. The same thing, the same object can play different roles in different contexts.
correct. Last pointer একটা example দেবেন যে same object or that last point that you
The individual cows are the referents. So it has the property of being the referent. Shakkata. That means in this context, cow individuals are playing the role of referent. That is implied by the word Shakkata. And cowness is the Avachedaka. So cowness is playing the role in this context as Avachedaka. So Avachedakata. All right?
so Abuched, I'm just for my own purpose revising.
Avachedakata has been used in different senses, but the predominant sense is that it determines the object.
So Avachhedak is in Samavaya Sambandha with the particulars, and it has these four terms are to be understood, which is Sakka and Sakkata, Avachhedak and Avachhedakata, and the
That's
ta
right.
aspect implies, or the meaning is the role that it play in that particular context to.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So Avachedakta, which signifies the property of being the limiter, which resides in a limiter. That means in this context, this is playing the role of an Avachedaka. This is implied by the word Avachedakata. All right? In this context, it is to be noted that the word Shakkata or Avachedakata, the Nyaya specifies the role of an entity. It is my interpretation, the role of an entity in this context is specified. In the above example, the individual cows are considered as referent of the word cow. Since they are playing the role of reference in this context, the Nyaya has postulated an abstract property to characterize this role, which is expressed by the word Shakkata. So it refers to the role of an object. The property of being the referent which resides in the individual cows is limited by the property cowness, which is a limiter in this context. So Shakkata Avachedaka is cowness. That means the role which cow individuals play in this context are limited by or determined by or limited by cowness. The relation of inherence, which is the second term of this meaning complex, relates cowness to individual cows. Hence, cow individuals would be the first term Anujogin, and the cowness would be the second term Pratijogin of the relation of inherence. So inherence relates. What it relates? Cowness to cow individuals. So relation has got a direction. It proceeds from Pratijogi to Anujogi. And it can be converse. So the relation, when we say cow individuals and cowness are related by the relation of inherence, what we mean? That cowness inheres in particular cows. Cowness inheres in particular cows, which are referents of the word cow. So cowness involves three things: particular cows, cowness, as well as the relation. And what is the function of the relation? It relates cowness to cow individual. And cowness becomes the avachedaka, and particular individual cows, shokko. So it has the property shokkata, and avachedaka has the property avachedakata. Now, the question is how the property of being the referent or reference is related to the property of being the limiter. Shokkata and avachedakata, how they are related. You got the point? According to the Nyaya, the former, that means Shakkata, former is determined by the latter and vice versa. Shakkata is determined, nirupita, by avachedakata, and avachedakata is nirupita by shakkata. Mutual determiner determine.
Can you explain this
Nirupita.
vice versa part, that how with an example?
That's right. That's right. Now I am explaining what does the word Nirupita means. Hence, the property of being the referent, Shokkata, is limited by a limiter, but determined by Nirupita, the property of being the limiter. Individual cows have a property called Shokkata, which is limited by cowness, which has the property Avachedakata. And Avachedakata is related to Shokkata by mutual determiner relation. So Nyaya is very, very subtle. And you enjoy this subtlety once you understand. It has gone beyond Western philosophy. But the point is that it should be explained in this form to Western readers. Then they will understand the subtlety. So this distinction between the relation limited by and the relation determined by may be explained in the following ways. Now I am explaining the relation between limited by and determined by. The relation of Avachedakata and the relation Nirupita. X is limited by Y if and only if X and Y are properties. They are to be properties. Number two, X is a relational property. Shokkota. X is a relational property, Shokkota, and the property Y is a mode of presentation of the object where the relational property X resides. Avachedaka resides in Shokko, which has the property Shokkota. Shokkota Avachedaka. So, Avachedakata is another property. And how Avachedakata and Shokkata are related? X is determined by Y. I have translated determined by the word Nirupita. Nirupita in Sanskrit has been explained by using the word determined by. X is determined by Y means Shokkata Nirupita Avachedakata. If and only if both X and Y are relational properties of correlatives. They are relational properties of what? Correlatives. East and West. You cannot understand East without knowing West. Similarly, West you cannot understand without knowing East. They are correlative terms. So, Shokkata and Avachedakata are correlatives. And Shokkata is limited by Avachedaka. And Avachedakata and Shokkata are mutual determiner determined. পরস্পর নিরূপিত. All right, to everybody. So, new terms you have learned today.
Sir, can you repeat this point? I cannot understand.
Okay, I am repeating this point. First of all, by the word ta, shokkata, অবচ্ছেদকতা, what Nyaya philosophers refer to is the role of these objects in this context. So by the word ta, shokkata, অবচ্ছেদকতা, they are referring to the roles of these objects. So shokko is limited by অবচ্ছেদক. That means shokkota, shokko, which has the property shokkota, in this context, the reference, the objects which are playing the role of reference, that is called shokkota, is limited by mode of presentation, which one is the mode of presentation? Cowness. And cowness has this property in this context, অবচ্ছেদকতা. That means cowness is playing the role of অবচ্ছেদক in this context. Cowness is playing the role of অবচ্ছেদক in this context. So, this role of cowness in this context and the role of individual cows in this context are signified by the word shokkota and অবচ্ছেদকতা. And how they are related? They are correlative terms. Correlatives means they are determined by mutual determination relation. That means shokkota is determined by অবচ্ছেদকতা. অবচ্ছেদকতা is determined by shokkota. That means in order to understand one, you have to understand both, because they are like correlative terms, like east and west. In order to understand east, we have to understand west. In order to understand west, we have to understand east. So, we have explained অবচ্ছেদক relation and nirupita relation. In this context, it is to be noted that the term limiter has been used in various senses in the Naiyan literature. I have picked up one usage which is predominant, but they have used অবচ্ছেদক in other ways also.
Sir, 12 o'clock হয়ে গেছে, আমার রোল রিমাইন্ডার দাও। এখান থেকে পরের দিন অনেক ডেন্স পড়াশোনা হয়েছে স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, ডেন্স পড়াশোনা। So
পরের
I
দিন
have
করবেন, নইলে আমরা
আচ্ছা এই সেন্টেন্সটা কমপ্লিট করে দিই।
ঠিক
The
আছে।
limiter is a mode of presentation which uniquely determines the referent or the referents of a term. I am using now Western term. What I meant by avachedaka is a mode of presentation which uniquely determines the referent. The limiter is a mode of present. A limiter is a mode of presentation which uniquely determines the referent or the referents of a term. This use of the term limiter is predominant in the later development of the Nyaya. In Navya Nyaya, this use is predominant. And here I have used Frege's sense. Limiter is like a sense which determines the referent. All right?
Yes,
Now,
sir. I was going to ask to explain Frege's example of morning star, evening star using this concept. But
now
not
morning
today.
star, morning star is identical with evening star, but they have different senses. Sense of the morning star is not the same as the sense of the evening star. That is why Frege says A is identical with B is different from A is identical with A. John is John, but the author of author of Gitanjali is the author of another book,
Bhanu Singher
Chokher
Padavali.
Bali. Yeah, Chokher Bali.
Okay, Bali.
So it is different. They have a different senses. Otherwise, you cannot distinguish one from another. A is A and A is B. How do we distinguish? That they have A is B has different senses. A is A, according to Frege, is analytic. But A is B is synthetic. It is derived from experience. All right, any question? So how many people have attended?
Sir, Nitiji from BHU has told us that there is storm going on at her place, so she cannot join. And Lopati from Jadavpur has
What
joined.
is going on?
Weather is not good, sir. For connection, she could not try to join.
Connection is not there. It happens. Connection problem. And what about Tirna
Lopati has
and
joined from Tirna, I do not know. Lopati from Jadavpur has joined. I invited Lopati from the University of Jadavpur.
Great. Anybody can join. It is open to anybody. And I am grateful that you are joining, and especially Lopamudra. Do you have any question, Lopamudra?
I don't know
Or
whether
anybody got any question? Now you have to read 3 times.
Hello,
Before
sir.
I discuss, you have to read. And with me, when we discuss, you have to ask questions. And again, you have to read and write.
Rabin might have a question, and after that I will stop recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, you have early mentioned about Akriti, which was discussed by old Naiyāyiks very gratefully, and that was criticized by the Nabbo Naiyāyikas. According to
Yes,
you,
I have criticized from the standpoint of Nabbunaya, the Akriti. And especially Jagadisha has mentioned that Akriti means the relation.
so at last, is it required to accept Akriti?
And
or
then
not?
I have discussed Akriti. By the word Akriti, we mean the relation, the type relation, not the particular relations, but the type of relations. So that is another new point, type of relations. And secondly, I pointed out that it is not comprehensive to give meaning to terms like brown color. Brown color refers to brown, particular brown colors and brownness, but it does not refer to Akriti. So it has limited application. And secondly, it is not sufficient. It is not sufficient in the sense that it has limited application, and it is not necessary to include Akriti in that sense. This is the view of Naiyāyika, like Jagadisha.
Yes, sir.
That which determines, that means cowness determines the particular cows. That means cowness is related to particular cows by the relation of inherence.
The Lopadi wants to say something.
Sure.
No, sir, it was a pleasure to listen to you after so many years, and it's all due to Subhashis, who had sent me the link. And I was a bit late, but I really enjoyed the discussion. And I would, if it continues, I would love to be here when you conduct it next time.
Sure. You are most welcome, and bring your friends also.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Friends could be not colleagues, but friends. Some other
Okay.
university scholars, any scholar can participate.
Okay, sir. Sure. Sure.
Okay. After 2 weeks, we'll have discussion on Sunday at
Okay.
11 a.m. Indian time, which is now 5:30 p.m. in New Zealand. We are 6.5 hours ahead of Indian time.